Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. And make sure we've got the right screen up here. Good gracious. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the Sunday, October 24th edition of the show. And we have already got people in the chat ready to rock and roll. It's the College Football Week 8 reaction show, the recap show. We go through some of the biggest, most surprising, most interesting games of the weekend and figure out what it means for the landscape of college football this season. Hopefully everybody is having a good Sunday morning. Before we get rolling, B. Smooth James said, I don't think there's going to be a week that goes by this season that something absolutely bonkers won't happen, and I think he's 100% right. Chris, there is, between just everything that is going on right now in college football, I don't think we are going to see any consistency for the duration of the season, other than, you and I were talking before we went live, other than maybe Georgia. Georgia is the only consistent. I think everything else is just a crapshoot every weekend. You kind of feel the same?
Yes. That's what I just said.
Yeah. It's insane. No, you didn't say it live. That's why I was trying to give you.
Well, yeah, but you just told everybody what I said.
You think that Georgia could dominate anybody at this point of the season and probably for the duration, including Ohio State's offense, et cetera. Because I brought up, to bring everybody into the fold here, I brought up that, well, maybe Ohio State's offense could hang with them, and you think that Ohio State's offense is, what, smoke and mirrors?
It's not that it's smoke and mirrors. They beat the hell. They put up big numbers against bad defenses, or defenses that cannot compete with them from an athletic standpoint. But I think when they play, and we'll see next week, when they play Penn State, I think if they play Iowa, I think maybe even if they play Michigan, I think those defenses will slow this offense down. Now, those offenses aren't close to as good as them, so it doesn't mean they won't win those games, but they won't be looking as dominant. And when they play a team like, if they ever play a team like Georgia that can score and is better than all of those other defenses, I don't think they have a chance.
You might be right. Like I thought I knew something about college football this season, and it is becoming ever clear that I don't know that anybody really knows anything about college football this season. So
it doesn't mean Georgia won't get got. It doesn't mean that Georgia won't. I can't foresee any team left on their schedule or any team in the country not on their schedule that can hang with them from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. I just can't.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Tyrone Davis jumps in, said, "What's up, guys?" Ball Python Love said, "Damn Fresno State." Yeah, that late cover by Nevada helped me out on our pick'em contest that we do. I
just needed Fresno on the money line.
There you go.
Almighty, I needed it. I needed air to breathe.
I absolutely love it. All right, let's go through the rundown right quick before we jump into the games. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. We appreciate everybody that goes over there and visits on a weekly basis for sure. So go ahead and check that out. It's got everything that you need to know about our podcast, our YouTube videos, our other shows that we do, where you can follow us on social media, etc. Go ahead and check it out right over there, WinningCuresEverything.com. The show brought to you every time out by BetUS, where the game begins. It is America's premier sportsbook. Go ahead and check it out at BetUS.com. Use the promo code NCAAF2021, and you can get a 125% deposit bonus up to $2,500, and that is sportsbook exclusive. I tell you, every show, how great of a deal this is. If you haven't taken advantage of it yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go sign up. I've been with them for years. I've used them since I was 21 years old. Go ahead and check them out. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Also, Chris hosts a college football show for Sportsbook Review. I host a college football show for BetUS. The links are in the description. Subscribe at those links. They're both on YouTube, so go ahead and check those bad boys out. Chris, let's start off today's slate with the Big Ten burner from yesterday morning. Illinois gets the win 20-18 over Penn State. We went to 9 overtimes, and everybody, I'll start us off with this. Everybody freaked out. Oh, it's the longest game in college football history, and if you just look at overtimes, yeah, it is. I think I texted our group at some point and said, these two offenses may never convert a 2-point conversion. There's not enough space. They may never get in the end zone. But this is what you get from these 2-point conversion games, right? Just back and forth. Everything is chaos. There is no rhyme or reason as to who will win. There were several people tweeting, if this is what we're going to get, I'd almost rather have ties. I don't know about all that, but this was the most brilliant game by Brett Bielema that I can remember. And for it to come after everybody criticized him last week for the statements that he made about his offensive line, obviously it worked. We talked about this on the show on Friday, and I mean, what do we have here? 357 net yards rushing. And they only did 38 yards passing. 8 out of 21 passing for 38 yards. Ran it 67 times for 357 yards. Really, it was a better rushing performance because that includes 10 carries for -8 yards for Sitkowski. You take that out, and the two running backs, Chase Brown, 33 carries, 223 yards for 6.8 a clip and a touchdown. Joshua McRae, 24 carries, 142 yards, and he had 5.9 per clip. This was awesome to see. I didn't expect it from Penn State, but let me get your thoughts on Bielema and the Illini first.
Well, first, I was happy for Bielema. You know that. You know I love him, and I'm so glad that he's kind of turning things around there a little bit. I guess a win like this, a big deal. When their starting quarterback went out, I did not think they were going to be able to make any of these conversions. Backup came in. Backup made a play. Penn State's backup couldn't do it. So, you know, it just is what it is. Without Sean, that offense for Penn State is maybe one of the worst in the country. They've got no explosivity. They've got no push on the front to run the football. He can't hit receivers when they're wide open. They're just not very good at all. And thankfully, they've got a great defense. They can keep them into ball games, but it wasn't enough. The quote-unquote longest, we have to find a different word for longest because it was 100% not the longest, all right? It just wasn't. The 2-point conversion goes pretty fast, and through timeline-wise, this game was much shorter than the Ole Miss Arkansas overtime game that happened a couple of years ago because you're just trying to make one play. Now, I have said this before, and I state it again. I know that there are a few teams that play guys on both sides of the ball. It's rare, but I don't give a damn. I want the referees to put their track shoes on. I want one offense and defense on one side of the field and the offensive defensive coaches for those teams on that side of the field. I want the other offense and defense on the far side of the field opposite of them. And I want one play, and then the referee grabs the ball, runs to the other side. All the referees get in position. We run another play, and we do that twice and then go to a commercial. And then we do that 2 more times. We could get through 4 OTs in less than 3 minutes or 4 minutes. We could do basically a minute of play, and there's no reason we can't speed this thing up. There's no reason to run everybody off and then run the other team on and get all set up. No. Offensive and defensive coaches for your allotted players and teams, divide up, separate out, and you just wait and watch, and that's it.
The total play count is the biggest part of this, right? This is why they swapped it to 3 overtimes is when you start doing 2-point conversions. I believe Penn State had 63 offensive snaps, and Illinois had 88.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Ole Miss runs that in regulation.
Yes. Like Ole Miss runs 90 plays plus.
I was just about to say they run more than that every game.
Well, that Tennessee Ole Miss game last week because of the pace of play.
There were 100-something plays ran.
Yeah,
in regulation.
It was like 195 in regulation, I think, something like that. But no overtime, no nothing like that. It's just constant, right? Over and over.
So this is far shorter, but they cannot just be running everybody off and on and go to a little TV timeout in between. No, just stop it. Get one offense over here in defense and one offensive defense, split the coaches up, and everybody's on a headset. Everybody can be talking to one another. That's fine. We'll make this thing go a lot faster.
Yes. Illinois' post-game win expectancy in this, which is odd for an overtime game, was 100%. They should have won this game based on the numbers 100% of the time. You don't get that often. But they dominated in the trenches, absolutely. My question here, did an injured Sean Clifford, who clearly didn't look right in this game, did that really give you the best chance to win if you're Penn State coming out of a bye week? I mean, that's insane to me.
I think without Sean, they've got nothing. So with him, if he can make a play, but he obviously wasn't any good. But I don't think they have a good option. That's the problem is there are no good options here.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Ryan McCracken jumped in and said, is Chris's tennis show on after this? People were listening last week. The Flying Hawaiian, gotta love making money on Clemson losing. He said that Buffalo 7 overtime game was long. And then Tyrone Davis said, I'm glad Notre Dame won. I didn't even put Notre Dame on here. It's one of my...
They won, they covered, they look good.
They look good, and that was it. So I've got Notre Dame as like a thing to mention at the very end of the show, but not worth diving into that game because USC is laughable. Let's move to the next one, and we are going to Ames, Iowa, my friend. Iowa State gets the win, 24-21 over Oklahoma State. Iowa State's post-game win expectancy, 58%. There were 2 missed field goals for Oklahoma State in this game. Give you the brief rundown. Iowa State was a 7-point favorite. They only won by 3. They won yardage, 374-332. They won third downs, 36% to 20%. And they won drive points, 24-7. Drive points are any drive that is over 60 yards, basically where you had to earn it, and they earned their points. Oklahoma State won yards per play, 5.9 to 5.7, and rushing, 107 to 67. No turnovers in this game. Between these two quarterbacks, which surprised the absolute hell out of me, I have no idea how you didn't get Brock Purdy or Spencer Sanders to either fumble or throw an interception. I don't get it. Each team had a fourth down failure. Oklahoma State missed field goal tries of 32 and 50. This was a tight ball game the whole way. Oklahoma State finds ways to keep games close, even when they are, it certainly looks like they are not the better football team, and they were right in this until the very end of the game, and this is what we can expect from these two teams and the Big 12 overall. Like, the Big 12 is just kind of crazy this year, right?
Should anybody ever be a 7-point favorite or dog to anyone in the Big 12 right now? Like, why this line was 7 was beyond me. I felt like that was the freest money all weekend. That was my favorite play of the weekend outside of Pitt. I just didn't understand. And you know, I mean, I guess Iowa State could have covered it, but at no point in time were they covering it. Like, from the time the game started, they just never were.
I will tell you this, the metrics, like advanced metrics, take out turnovers, take out all that kind of stuff, and they would have actually been favored typically by like 9 to 10 points. Their offense and defense were that much better. You take out things
that are really important, Gary.
Agreed.
You can't take out the turnovers because turnovers are the number one factor to winning and losing a ball game.
Yes. No, I understand that. I'm telling you why this line was as absurd as it was.
But hang on. We all understand that that's wrong. Right?
Yes.
We all fully understand that if you lose the turnover battle, you're going to more than likely lose the game. So you can't take that out of your algorithm just because you don't like the way it changes the algorithm. I don't understand how the algorithms work, which is why I don't like them. But I don't it just doesn't make sense, which I'm glad because I made money on it and it was good. I wanted them to win because the algorithm was so jacked up. I got plus 220. You should not be getting 2-1 odds on anybody in the Big 12 beating anyone else outside of Kansas.
True. And even, I mean, we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Because Kansas probably, I mean, Kansas had a better than 50% chance to win. I did want to bring up on this game so I'm assuming that you watched the majority of this, the penalty call for taunting, where the kid was running into the end zone in the third quarter. Now, luckily, they got that touchdown back, but good gracious, that is, I don't even have words for how despicable and how ridiculous that call was from the officials. For those that did not see it, Hutchinson, the wide receiver for Iowa State, catches a pass, and he's running into the end zone. It was a long play. Like it was very easily a touchdown. There was no question. There was nobody around him. And once he got to about the 4-yard line, 3-yard line, maybe, he turned around to see if there was anybody behind him. And he slowed down a little bit as he went into the end zone. He didn't hold the ball up. He didn't turn around and like stick the ball in somebody's face. He wasn't talking to anybody. He just slowed down. And you could say that he was high stepping, maybe, but he was at a full sprint and slowed down. And that's all it was. And the refs called him for taunting, and it was a 15-yard penalty. They took the touchdown off the board. It was a spot foul, so it went from the 3 back to the 18, and then Iowa State had to earn the touchdown again. Somebody should be suspended for this. They won't be, but that seemed blatantly obvious that it was just somebody that was irritated at what was going on in the ballgame. That's the only explanation that I can come up with from a referee. Did you see anything on that play that looked like taunting at all?
No, Gary, but these officials have been out of control all year. Like, I don't... I say this every week, Gary. At what point in time is it on us to stop being shocked that people who are bad at their jobs are continuously bad at their jobs?
You are correct. It's just when we see stuff that is so blatantly
but we see
obvious.
It every week, Gary. We see it every week.
True.
Clear violations. Sometimes they're major and they take touchdowns off the board. Sometimes they give a team on a big third down, a first down that they absolutely don't deserve when they should be punting, and then that team goes on and scores a touchdown on that drive. Like, those are major game changers in games that determine the outcome, that absolutely determine the winners. I don't think there's anything nefarious. I think these people are bad at their jobs.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, you are not wrong on that. In this game, Iowa State had 10 more plays than Oklahoma State did, and Oklahoma State, props to their defense. Jim Knowles knows what he's doing. Held them to 67 rushing yards in this game. Yeah. That's impressive against Iowa State for sure. For sure. Big games by Brock Purdy, 27 out of 33 for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was awesome. And Spencer Sanders, 3 touchdowns, 15 out of 24, 225 yards. That was really, really awesome too. This is a well-played game. Well-played game.
Big game by both teams.
You have got that right. Let's see. Let's dive off of that one. And we are going to the Rose Bowl, my friend. Oregon, getting it done, but good gracious, did Anthony Brown try and give that game away late? Just a fumble and 2 interceptions late for that offense. So Oregon's post-game win expectancy was 80%. And if you look at what ended up happening here, they were up, 34-17 late in this ball game, and gave up 2 touchdowns late. UCLA was driving late. Now, luckily, Oregon gets the interception. I say luckily for Oregon, I guess, to try and save the game. But DTR went out with an injury. They brought in Garbers, the transfer in from Washington, and he looked okay for a minute, and then, man, that the DB just read his eyeballs, man.
As soon as DTR went out, I knew they had no chance on that drive.
Yeah.
That game was over with. That guy is the most important player on that team.
Yes, absolutely.
He's special. He's really good. He had a good game in this one. And, he had a turnover. It happens. But it's just, he's a really good player. And when he's not there, that team can't win.
Oregon, I think, may have felt a little bit disrespected here. They won yardage 417 to 352. They won yards per play 6.6 to 3.9. But here's what's insane. UCLA ran 91 plays and Oregon only ran 63. The fact that Oregon outgained them by running 28 less plays was highly impressive. So it was nice to have Joe Moorhead back in the building doing his thing, right? This is 2 straight weeks, but this is the first one where he's really, really back in and knows what he's calling. They won third down percentages, 78% to 53%. I mean, Oregon was 7 out of 9. Just absurd. They were great. Turnovers were even, but this is where Oregon comes out and feels like they are the better team, right? It feels like they have been sleepwalking for weeks and weeks. But I will tell you this team, if they continue to make mistakes, they can get got by anybody, but they are good enough to compete with anybody. And I don't know which team is going to show up week in and week out. Who knows? But this one, does this keep them in? Is this a playoff team, Chris? Is Oregon a playoff team?
No chance.
No chance.
No chance.
I mean, they've still got Utah left on the schedule. Maybe they'll have to play. They've got Oregon State too. We'll talk about that here a little bit.
You better hope your little brother don't get your ass. They're getting everybody.
They certainly are. Certainly are. I mean, it's. I look at this game. This was a fun game to watch. The running back, at one point had like 4 straight carries that were touchdowns, which I thought was insane. Never seen that before in my life. And apparently it's been done before, but I never had any idea. Nate jumps in on the chat. This channel sports takes are always awesome. Great job, guys. Appreciate that. Always nice to hear that. Flying Hawaiian said UTSA is good, and the Flying Hawaiian also said Gundy covers as a dog. That's always good too. So yeah, you guys, there's a lot of people watching. Go ahead and like the video for us if you would, and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Our goal right now is 5,000 subscribers. We were hoping to hit that by the end of the season, and we are rapidly approaching that much quicker. So go ahead and subscribe for us if you would so kindly. Anything you want to say about Oregon UCLA?
No.
I
didn't think this game was very exciting. I predicted that.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, that tends to game day being there added a little more. But I will tell you something interesting. Did you see that they were doing ticket giveaways like through the ESPN Game Day account? That should tell you everything you need to know about the hype out in Los Angeles.
But that's what UCLA was doing even for the LSU game.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were giving away free tickets to everybody.
It takes a lot to stir up interest in any program out in LA right now. So moving on.
Not going to Pitt. I've lost so much respect for Game Day. It's a show I used to love, and like many other ESPN products, it's focusing on the wrong things.
Yes, I tend to agree. You bring up Pitt. Let's go ahead and jump into Pitt 27, Clemson 17. Pitt's post-game win expectancy, 99%.
No doubt.
There was never a doubt. DJ got benched. Like, what in the world? Who would have ever assumed that? And it's not like the other guy was any better. I mean, you can't do anything with that offensive line. That offensive line is terrible. On top of that, so I had people asking me on Twitter yesterday, like in the DMs, asking at what point is this on the coaching staff and not just, it's a bad season. It's been on the coaching staff the whole time. The whole time. Tony Elliott was great so long as Jeff Scott was there. People are still throwing
his name out for big-time coaching jobs. You do realize that, right?
Oh, yeah. But I told you.
I have heard. Now, these are all national guys. There's no local guys that actually cover the sport. National guys have thrown his name out for the LSU job. And I think you are insane if you think that guy's going to get a big-time Power 5 job.
That's not going to happen. He is not getting the LSU job. He's not getting USC.
Not just the LSU job. He wouldn't get the Missouri job if it opened right now.
No.
He wouldn't get Minnesota if it opened right now.
I told you when Jeff Scott left for South Florida that I thought that Jeff Scott was the brains behind the operation at Clemson, and that I thought Tony Elliott might be able to hang on for a little bit, but I did not believe that Tony Elliott was the guy, and it is proving to be fruitful. This is not a I told you so. They have got to find somebody that understands how to run that offense, because it ran the same from as soon as they hired Chad Morris all the way through everybody else. And you're not going to be able to do the same thing at Clemson that you've been doing for 10 years, like keeping the same staff, et cetera.
CEOs don't matter in college football today. Architects of offenses are the single most important person on a college football team is the architect of the offense. That's it. It's not the quarterback, because that person gets the quarterback. And that person's who the quarterbacks go to play for. All right. It's not the head coach if the head coach is not the architect. I don't care. Give me all the numbers you want about Nick Saban. If he ever makes a bad hire as an OC and doesn't have great players, he will not win. All right. True. The CEO. So Dabo, you use brains. We will never use brains and Dabo in the same conversation. He does not make that offense any better. He does not make any play calls that actually helps this team win football games ever. And he is a CEO. And when he has a great OC, they are outstanding. And when he doesn't, they don't, which is why I'm very sorry to say, but most of you CEO coaches need to be careful, because OCs are going to take your jobs. And I think they should. This is a guy, you're talking to a guy that my entire life all I've ever loved or cared about was defense, because when I played football for the very short, limited amount of time, I played defense, I understand defense, and I like the defensive side of the ball. The game has changed far too much.
Well,
all
the rules have changed.
On offense.
That's the biggest part. The rules have changed.
Is that part of the game?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I just said that.
I know, but that's the biggest change. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm agreeing with you, but the rules have completely changed so that defense doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter as much anymore. So,
not as much. You got to get a stop here or there, and that's fine. But when your head football coach is not the play caller and the designer of the offense, it's just really hard, because when you have a great one, he's going to get hired away by somebody to be their head coach. And then you got to hope you make a better hire. And then you got to hope you just keep making good hires.
And that's what Clemson did here. And we're going to talk Pitt for just a minute, because obviously they are the team that's playing well.
Yes.
With Clemson, they thought that they could just continue to move guys up the chain, right?
Yep.
And that was the deal with Tony Elliott. He'll be the next guy because he was the co-offensive coordinator with Jeff Scott, but Scott was the play caller. He was the one that handled all the business, and Tony Elliott looks real good when he's got Trevor Lawrence, and when he's got a decent enough offensive line. And this offensive line is rough. Josh comes in. He said, "Good morning, folks." Good morning, Josh, and to everybody else that's watching. Let's see. Ball Python Love said, "Could I have you, either or both of you, as a special guest on my channel sometimes?" Hey, you know what? Absolutely. Just hit us up in the DMs. We will certainly discuss that. So, Kenny Pickett in this game. 25 out of 39, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, and Pitt was able to run the football. I mean, just ridiculous. So this was, they ran 82 plays to 62 plays, and if you look at like the basic point of this, Pitt was over 50% on third downs. Clemson was 36%. Pitt was able to drive the ball more, yards per play, et cetera. I mean, everything was Pitt's way, and it still kind of came down to the interception on the shovel pass that got everybody the cover if you took Pitt. At the shovel pass, there are moments when DJ Uiagalelei, it looks like he has no idea what he's doing on it. Like, he gets so nervous. I feel like there is so much stress on him that he doesn't know what to do. And Kenny Pickett is just as cool as a cucumber, brother. Like, did you see his comments after the ball game?
No.
Like, they asked him, how are you going to celebrate a win over Clemson? He said, I'm probably going to go back and have a cold one and get ready for Miami.
Here's the problem, Gary. You talk about these things with DJ. Isn't that coaching, being prepared, being ready mentally for different scenarios?
Yes, 100%. But also, it's so I think it was more so coaching at the beginning of the season. Right now, I think he personally is in his own head so much that he can't do the simple things correctly, right? I don't know that he's been able to read a defense all season, but also, like, he's not accurate with the football, and the offensive line gives him zero time. He's got happy feet all the time. I have no expectation for them for the rest of this season. They got 3 losses, and we're not even to Halloween yet. I mean, it's not a good football team.
Look at that schedule, because I just did. That this ain't the last loss they're going to have.
Which is crazy to think about, because before the season we talked about how easy that schedule was.
All right, and I'm about to run it down real quick. Okay. Florida State, Louisville, UConn, Wake Forest, South Carolina. How many of those games they win? Right now, make a call. I
think they could possibly lose 2 of them. So that's 5 games left. I think they could win. They could win 4. I think they could. They'll win 3.
I also think they could lose 3 of them.
I think they could lose 3 of them. But I'll say they'll win one of those that looks like a toss-up at this point. Florida State's looking a lot better right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Florida State game against them, that's a coin flip right now.
Wake Forest undefeated.
That's 100% a coin flip. Wake Forest going to beat the shit out of them. It ain't going to be close either. Do you see the stat? That's the most impressive stat line of the weekend, by the way. It might be the most impressive stat line of the year.
We're going to get there. I love doing this show with you so much. Like, they're going to beat the shit out of them. It's not going to be close.
They are. are.
You're probably right.
100% are.
You're probably right. Michael Fritz jumps in and said, good morning, everyone. He said, what's up, fellas? Nice to see Michael in here. I hadn't seen him in a while. Casey, I had Nevada money line. Should have taken the points. Would have hit a six-pack parlay. Man, that game was too much. Like, you should have bet on that game anyway. Like, that game was a toss-up anyway. Moving on. Oklahoma. All right, so we got to talk about this. Before I talk about any kind of stats or anything else, Oklahoma wins 35-23. Kansas's post-game win expectancy was 69% in this game, which was shocking to me. Definitely nice, but definitely shocking because you would not expect that from a 38-point underdog, regardless of whether it's at home or not. The play that I want to talk about, the fourth down handoff from Kennedy Brooks to Caleb Williams. First off, Caleb Williams said after the ball game, he didn't even know that was legal.
It's not legal.
And I don't know that it is. So the ref explained it, by the way. The referee explained it after the game and said that it was legal because he was behind the line of scrimmage. To which my response is, his forward progress had stopped.
Yes.
He was behind the line of scrimmage. His
progress had stopped by 5 yards.
And they kept pushing him back.
Not by a little bit, by 5 yards. If they would have stripped that ball and it would have been a fumble, the ref would have blown it dead and said, no, forward progress, we're putting the ball back here. You know that would have happened, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As long as we know that.
I could not believe that play was allowed to go on. Like, I don't even know.
Well, I could. As soon as I saw the replay and everybody I was watching with was like, that's forward progress. I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They have the Big 12 has one dog left in the hunt, and they're going to protect that dog with all that they have.
Even if that dog is leaving in a year or 2 years
they don't care because they still get the money this year. They make the playoffs. They still split the money 10 ways.
Yep, you're right about that. So Oklahoma, again, 38-point favorite, only won 35-23. They won yards per play, 7.4 to 6.3. They won rushing, 220 to 166. But Kansas won overall yardage at 412 to 398. Kansas's third down percentage, they covered or completed a 69% third down. Just ridiculous. They won drive points 23 to 21. Turnovers were even. Oklahoma had a fourth down failure. There were a lot of different ways that Kansas could have possibly won this football game, but they were up against it from the get-go. Josh said overrated as always. Flying Hawaiian said that OU play was absolute BS. Kansas was robbed. How often are we concerned about Kansas being robbed in a football game? Not often, because typically they are not in games. But this Oklahoma team has flashes of brilliance and then flashes of, they're probably not very good. And you got guys like R.J. Young on Twitter that are talking about, hey, you can say that they don't pass the eye test or whatever, but winning is the only thing that matters and whatnot. The only people that say that are the people whose teams are not very good but haven't had to play anybody yet.
That's right. That's it. Look at the schedule. Look at who you beat. You don't have a single win that's good outside of the Texas win
and
all
is that
year long.
Like, I mean, Texas is good, but is that a foundational win?
That's a good. No, did I say foundational or did I say
no,
good?
No. Well, you said good win. You're right. I'm just I'm
good,
thinking.
Good. Is a cheeseburger from McDonald's good or is it shit? Because a quarter pounder is not bad. It's not the worst thing I've ever eaten in my life. It's not great. That's what a win over Texas is. Congratulations. You got a quarter pounder with cheese.
Hey, Brown Yeti's in. Brown Yeti said Kansas got a 3rd and 1 on a quarterback sneak that was stopped at the line, but they didn't blow it dead. So Kansas got one as well. Yeti.
Oh, I don't want to hear this.
Yeti. Come on,
we're bringing this shit up in here.
Michael said Oklahoma will be embarrassed if they get in the playoffs. Casey,
Oklahoma's not making the playoffs. 2 weeks from now, they're playing Baylor, and Baylor is going to whomp that ass. They're going into Baylor, and Baylor's going to beat them straight up. You heard it here first.
You are a lot more confident than I am.
Absolutely. You cannot play with fire the way they've played with fire and continue to not get burned. At some point in time, one of these teams is going to get them, and that's the game they're going on the road on. And 2 weeks after that, they go to Pokes, okay?
Yeah.
And you got Bedlam, and we know shit happens at Bedlam, and you give me, I would say, Gundy and the Orange Cowboys over them all day long.
I took the over 11 on Oklahoma's total this year, on their win total. And I don't feel good about it at all when they got Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Iowa State all left.
Nope. I think they can lose all. Hey, watch Texas Tech next week. Not believe they can't win that game.
At Texas Tech, man, that's
I know Texas Tech is crazy right now, and they are the most unpredictable team in the Big 12.
Volatile, sure.
But when they're on, they're on.
Nate jumped in. He said, a superb quarter pounder reference. Dang, sounds good right now. Cheers to that. Michael said it'll actually be funny to watch Oklahoma get smashed. I hope you're right, Chris. Josh said Tulane close, Nebraska close, K-State close, Texas close, Kansas close, Baylor. I agree with Chris. And Casey said, I agree, Baylor will beat them. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Let's move on, and we got to talk about somebody that we like, but it might just be time to pull the plug. He's on live support as it is. But Syracuse went to Virginia Tech, 41-36 winners, and Syracuse's post-game win expectancy in this game was 82%. This was not a fluke. They did get a late touchdown. Virginia Tech was in the game, but they shouldn't have been. If you look at the stats overall, Syracuse won yardage, 550 to 437. They won yards per play, 7 to 6.8. They won third downs. They won drive points. They won rushing. Virginia Tech gave up 314 yards rushing in this game. Virginia Tech had one fourth down failure. There were no turnovers in the game, which was a little bit surprising. But they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter to Syracuse to lose the ball game. I don't know what to do anymore if you are Virginia Tech.
Now, you got to make a change. The problem is where are you going now? That's the question. Who do you go get? The answer ain't Tony Elliott, by the way.
No. So there's a lot of people that think that this is a really, really good job, and it is because they invest.
I think it's a good job. I think it's an absolutely good job.
They invest heavily in their football program. They want to have a winning program, and recruiting.
I don't think that the threshold of expectations is crazy. You just can't have losing seasons year in and year out. Like, damn, once every 3 years, let's compete for the ACC, but let's go to a bowl every year. Like, that's not outlandishly wild. Right now, they just want to be relevant.
Yes, that's the biggest problem is that you're losing games at home to Syracuse. Dino Babers was on the hot seat to start the season, and it looked like there was no way that he was going to maintain his job, and instead you got Sean Tucker out here doing his thing, 20 carries for 112 yards. Hey, Garrett Schrader, that's the best transfer that Dino could have possibly gotten for this offense, for what he wants to run. What he did at Mississippi State, like he was somewhat impressive as a freshman at Mississippi State under Joe Moorhead, but I don't know that Moorhead necessarily knew exactly what to do with him. Dino knows exactly what to do with him. You run him 22 times for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, he can run, and he can throw the football a little bit. He's not great, but 16 out of 34 passing, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, Garrett Schrader is awesome. Like,
well, you always play the hiring game. Who do you think they go get?
Man, I legitimately have zero idea who they could possibly go get.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I just think
I thought Fuente was perfect. Like, I thought it was a perfect fit. And
hey, can he come back to Memphis? Can we do like a Petrino situation where we just come home? Just come home. Look, I'll go pack Satterfield's shit, Silverfield's shit today. All right. When he gets into the office Monday, all his shit will be boxed up. It'll be ready to go. It'll be all right.
I tell you this, I took the under 8 on Memphis's win total, and I'm already at a push.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a hell of a play.
Yeah, but because they're not well. So making this a little bit about Memphis because I don't have them on the list. So they lost 24-7 to UCF without their starting quarterback. But also Memphis didn't have their starting quarterback. Memphis was down to like their third string quarterback. Their starter for the season went out before the season even started, and he's still out. And of course now Seth Hennigan, who was playing really well as a freshman, he was out for this game. But that's no excuse. I mean, you got to like
Gary. The loss at Temple is when this thing all started. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You lose to that shit football team, you're done. You're done. I don't want your shit in my city ever again.
So Virginia Tech, maybe you go. I mean, do you try and get somebody that's just serviceable? Like, would you try and just pay Mark Stoops more, or like I don't? And by service, that's a total disrespect card to Mark Stoops.
I was just about to say Mark Stoops would be a hell of a hire for them.
Hell yeah.
I don't know that you leave Kentucky for that right now, which is a sad state to say where college football is going. But if I'm in the SEC, as hard as it is to win, the amount of money coming into the SEC, I think if you have a fan base that loves you, your job is stable, and you're here, I don't know that you leave. You have to leave for a job that you think you can win a national title at if you're going to leave the SEC.
Stable might be way undersaid there, because anytime he wins 7 games, he gets a year tacked onto his contract. Well, yeah. Anytime he wins 10, he gets 2 years tacked on. And I think they're going to win 10 this year. So
that's right.
Casey said Mark Stoops staying at Kentucky, baby. Mark living.
That's great, though. Look, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I love that guy. I love that guy, and I love him being in the SEC.
Heartsick Disciple said Virginia Tech should definitely make a change. And he said Syracuse can run the ball. Everyone knows that's the surprise with Schrader making big throws. But that's not much of a surprise. Like, we've seen him do that all season. So the fact that Virginia Tech was not prepared enough for this, I mean, Syracuse had 7 penalties for 45 yards in this game. Virginia Tech only had 1 penalty and still lost the game. 1 penalty, no turnovers, and lost the game to Syracuse.
Bad. Virginia Tech's just bad.
They got out-physicaled, completely out-physicaled in this game. Like, I had this on the TV and was like, Syracuse is getting a push anytime they want. How is that possible? How do you allow that to happen? I cannot understand how that even happens. And I got no idea. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit on Tuesday, about who Virginia Tech can go get. But I have no idea at this point. I got no clue. Moving on. Let's move to the Pac-12, because this was a bit of a shocker to me, and maybe it shouldn't have been. Oregon State 42, Utah 34. Post-game win expectancy for the Beavers was 100%. Nailed it, didn't you? Nailed it.
Man, that was one of my money line plays, and I lost a couple of heartbreaker money line plays. I needed that one to finish the day out. Brother, it was sweet.
So in this situation here, this was the complete opposite of the Arizona State game for Utah. Utah started out, scored on 4 of their first 5 drives. On the other one, they were stopped at the 1-yard line and probably should have taken the points. But I understand going for it helps your percentage to win, all that good stuff. But 100% win expectancy in a game that was decided by 8 points is a little surprising. Oregon State dominated this football game. You look at the stats here. You wouldn't see it as domination early, but if you look at rushing yards, Utah gave up 260 rushing yards to Oregon State and only had 188 themselves. Yards per play, 7.8 for the Beavers to only 5.9. Utah ran 17 more plays, 77-60 in this spot, and the only turnover in the game was actually an Oregon State turnover that led directly to Utah points. So Utah wouldn't have even been in the ball game. Like, B.J. Baylor, 19 carries, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, and Chance Nolan, 14 out of 19 passing, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's not like Cam Rising was bad. You know, he was 22 out of 36, 267, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I don't know what to make of Utah. My 8.5 ticket is gone, by the way. I had the over on 8.5 on them.
That's right. I'm going to tell you, Oregon State is one of the most exciting, unseen, no one saw this before the season started, I don't think. This team is so fun to watch. I
Jonathan Smith.
Them. Yeah. I love betting on them. They're not the best team in college football, but they are absolutely unbelievable to watch. They're fun to cheer for, and damn, they are having themselves a season.
Jonathan Smith has done such an incredible job with this football team, and he'll be up for a bunch of jobs. But remember, this is his alma mater. He wanted to get them back to being, competent and competitive.
No, they're far more than competent. Hey, Casey said Oregon State has a hell of a program going, basketball and football. This is a guy that doesn't watch college baseball either. College baseball, really, really good at Oregon State. That AD should be getting paid.
Yes, very much so. They knew that they had a losing hand with Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson quits anyway. They go out and get the Washington offensive coordinator, former player at Oregon State, Jonathan Smith, and they figure out a way to turn it around. Like, they invest enough in the program to be relevant, and they are good, man. Between them and Oregon, 11-3 on the season. That's pretty good. The state of Oregon, the Pac-12 runs through the state of Oregon right now.
Yeah.
Like, period.
Civil War is going to be awesome.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. So much fun. I hope it's another fog game like it was last year. That shit was so good.
Well, if it is, it's going to favor the Beavers.
Oh, yeah. Oregon State can run on anybody. Anybody.
Yep.
Like, that B.J. Baylor kid is something else to watch, man. Something else. Moving on to the Big Ten. And Wisconsin just destroyed Purdue in this game.
We hadn't seen this from Wisconsin all year.
No, this was all right. So let me give you the breakdown here. Wisconsin was a 3.5-point favorite. I thought that line was maniacal. I thought it was ridiculous. I took Purdue.
I did too.
And of course, final again, 30-13. They won yardage 342 to 206. They won yards per play 5.8 to 3.3. They won drive points again. For those that hadn't paid attention, drive points are when you have to drive over 60 yards to score. They won that 21-0. They won rushing 290 to -13, Chris.
Well, yeah, but Purdue doesn't run the football on anybody. Purdue's been throwing it on everybody. But listen, everything about this game, this is the Wisconsin team that we thought we were going to see in September. All right?
Yes.
It just, look, they're 8 weeks late to the party. Okay.
Yes.
They're 8 weeks late.
Yes.
They're here.
So they also won turnovers, which we have not been able to say that about Wisconsin. But they won turnovers 5-2. Wisconsin was still only 1 of 11 on third down, but they didn't have to worry about it. Purdue's only scores were a fumble return and a 39-yard drive. That's it. That's the only way they were able to score in this game. Aiden O'Connell couldn't do anything. You look at, like, Graham Mertz, they didn't ask him to do nothing. Like, they realized that they had an advantage in the trenches, and they just ran the ball. That's it.
And they just took them. Yeah.
Graham Mertz, 5 out of 8 passing, 52 yards, like no touchdowns, no picks.
This looked like Wisconsin football for the first time all year long.
Yes. I mean, it's
big win by them.
This is 15 straight that they have won against Purdue, and sometimes it's not coaching, it's not whatever. It is just a thing that happens. Purdue against Iowa was the same way, right? Same exact thing. And in West Virginia, TCU, same thing. We'll talk about that momentarily, but got an interesting number for you on that one. Aiden O'Connell was 24 out of 32 for 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. Yikes. So this is the best Wisconsin that we have seen all season, and if they continue to play like this, they can beat Iowa, and they can beat Minnesota, and they can beat the teams that are remaining on their schedule if they play like this. I don't know that they will continue to do it week in and week out, but this was awesome. Josh said, although Purdue is known for beating a ranked team and getting blown out the next week, this is true. Flying Hawaiian said he stayed away from this one, and Josh said he lost this one, so I can understand that. Let's see. Casey said, I had Wisconsin money line. I knew that was a setup game. Cheers to you, Casey, for sure. And then Casey brought up Sam Hartman. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Wake Forest wins, and boy, do we have some crazy numbers on this one. Wake Forest 70, Army 56. And Wake's post-game win expectancy 62% in this game. Brother, in this spot, Wake's time of possession, 17 minutes, 17 seconds. And scored 70 points. And it was not so let me
Stat of the week. Jeff
Fogel on Twitter, which you should find. He covers games and whatnot for VSiN, so the Vegas Stats and Information Network. They won in a flag football game played on ice, is what he said. That's exactly what this was. They won yardage, 638 to 595. They won yards per play, 12.2 to 7.2. Third downs, they converted 88% of their third downs to only 60% for Army, which 60% is a damn good day. They won turnovers 2-0. They won drive points. Listen to these drive points. This was not fluky. This was not, they got short fields, anything like that. They scored 56 points on drives that went over 60 yards. Like, only 3 touchdowns all game came relatively cheap. Army ran 83 plays to only 52. And again, they won time of possession 43-17, but they could not stop Wake Forest. The claw fence is legit. Hey, this is somebody. If I'm Virginia Tech, maybe I'd go after Dave Clawson. I don't know that they could get him,
I don't know if they can get him.
But that's somebody you gotta shoot for.
Every job opening should be calling Dave Clawson at least to sit down and see, are you interested? And what are you thinking?
And maybe
this
Clawson,
guy can
maybe
this guy can design an offense, man. He can design an offense.
And it's not just the offense. It is like he understands what his team is good at, and he puts them in good situations, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. No, but I'm telling you, man, these guys, everybody in the world had Army picked as an upset. Every person I listened to on the planet said either stay away or play Army because this is, and I just said, no, Wake Forest going to kill them. Army hadn't seen an offense like this all year. And man, this was a close.
Yeah, no, I had Wake on the BetUS show. And I had, the guys were like, you never know with this. And I said, no. This is like ridiculous. No chance. I trust Wake to be able to score on this defense over and over and over again. And they did it. Christian Anderson started the game, the Army quarterback. It wasn't because the quarterback was out. Christian didn't play all that much. This is the third game that he missed 2 straight games and then missed the majority of this one. But it's not like Army couldn't move the football. It's not like Army lost because of their offense.
So Wake has got some challenges ahead. Okay. They got Duke. They go to North Carolina.
Yep.
They got NC State. I know it got beat, but still. They got at Clemson and at BC. Can they run this thing?
No.
I don't think so either. I think I think three of those are going to be close, and one of them is going to get them.
It's a lot of toss-ups. I
want
guess,
to see them run it. I want to see them versus Pitt because I think they're clearly the 2 best teams in the ACC. I want to see them versus Pitt. Bad.
I would love to see that. I would like. Bill Conley actually tweeted out last night. He was like, "The dream is still alive for 11-1 Pitt against 12-0 Wake Forest." And
yes,
that would be a lot of fun to me. Because who did Wake Forest play in the ACC title game back in 2006 when Jim Grobe was the coach? I cannot remember.
Jesus. I have no idea.
They won it 9-6.
But we won't get that against Pitt. No.
So this is. Hey, by the way, I went 5-2-1 against the number on BetUS this week. So not too shabby. Sam Hartman in this game, 23 out of 29, 458 yards, 5 touchdowns. Was awesome.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're up on schedule. Pretty difficult. So that moves Army to 4-3, moves Wake Forest to 7-0, and a lot of fun. Now let's go to a completely different ball game here, a different type of ball game, and that would be San Diego State 20, Air Force 14. This is 9 straight wins in the series for San Diego State, and they shut Air Force down, brother. I mean, just shut them down. This was another one of my bets. I had San Diego State plus 3 or 3.5, and felt good about it because you had the number 1 rushing defense going up against the number 1 rushing offense, and while Air Force's efficiency as far as passing the ball looked great, they don't do it all that often, and they only did it in situations where they knew they had an advantage, right? And in this spot, there was no situation where they would have an advantage throwing the football, and it led to an interception that turned into points. I had this one on. I didn't watch all of it because I will tell you, sometimes these games, when there's all this scoring going on in some of these other games, they can be a little boring when it's just, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And that's exactly what this game was.
This had the second most impressive stat of the weekend.
Which one are we talking about?
81-yard punt.
Oh, okay.
An 81-yard punt from your end zone.
Did you expect anything else from these two kind of teams, though? Really?
No, but when you're punting from your end zone, you usually don't get a chance to boom it because you're afraid of the safety. You got to catch it. You got to get it out quick because you can't get blocked because that's touchdown or a save. Like there are too many things that go wrong, so you never see great punts from an end zone.
True.
You see great punts from the 20-yard line or whatever. The fact that he punted the thing from the end zone all the way to the 11-yard line, that's insane. That's insane.
It was awesome.
81-yard punt.
Air Force ran 11 more plays. They went 3 out of 4 on 4th down, but only 4 out of 16 on 3rd down. I don't even know what to say. They had 7 less penalties.
So I have a question. Do you think Nevada and Air Force both have head coaches that are getting calls about jobs right now, right? We know that those conversations are being had. Their names are getting thrown around. Do you think that had anything to do with that, or do you think they just played teams that got them on a good day?
I think they played teams that they got on good days.
Okay.
I think Air Force is a good team, but stylistically, they don't match up well with San Diego State. San Diego State can stop the run, man. And when you don't get, like, Air Force relies on getting that running game going. And they ran 48 times for 192 yards yesterday, only had one touchdown. Their longest run was 16 yards. It was not, they only averaged 4 yards a rush, which is still okay. But when you expect a lot more and you don't get it and you can't get comfortable, I mean, they were down 20-0 before they really got rolling. And this was a game that was set up for San Diego State. I mean, don't do anything to beat yourself, really. They had 10 penalties, San Diego State did, for 61 yards.
Well, when you're San Diego State and you get up 20-0 on one of these teams,
it's over.
Because your defense and because of the style of football you play, it's really hard for those teams to come back and score on you. Because you just don't give up big plays. You don't give up chunk plays. So, this was a money line play for me as well. I hit that. It was so good. I had a pretty decent day yesterday.
Oh, yeah. No, same here. So, it was interesting. It was a fun game, so we'll move off of that one. Let's talk about somebody that this one we may not want to talk about, but I think it is important for us to discuss. West Virginia 29, TCU 17. Post-game win expectancy here, West Virginia 61%. And
they dominated the football game.
And they really did. The fact that this was only 61% post-game win expectancy kind of surprised me.
Yeah,
but Neil Brown now is 3-0 against Gary Patterson. That is certainly not good. Patterson has a top 10 salary and has not cracked 8 wins, or has not even made it to 8 wins since the 2017 season. He went 11-3 that year, won 7 the year after that, and et cetera. You know what's happened since. This is Jarrett Dagey is not a good quarterback, and instead of handling him like they should, he went 21 out of 28 for 257 yards. They let Letty Brown run 24 times for 111 yards and 3 touchdowns. West Virginia had not run for 100 yards in a game in 3 straight games. Like, I'm talking the entire team, not just Letty Brown. Like, their offense had been completely shut down by everybody that they played, and then they get to go on the road to TCU and can't do anything. Like, Max Duggan had 2 interceptions. This was I don't know what to make of TCU anymore. They're 3-4. I know. I take that back. I know what to make of them. They're just not a very good football team. And at what point do we start to question? Okay, like is it that point where? Seth said, love what you guys are doing. Love the show from San Antonio. They have to pay Jeff Traylor or someone will. A lot of people bringing up Jeff Traylor for this TCU job because they kind of assume that GP is on his way out. And I don't know that he is, because I don't, maybe. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to do, because Patterson is a legend. He's been there for 2 decades, and he brought the highest of the highest. He's the one that got him into the Big 12. And yet, they are not a good football team. They are not well run. The defense, what he is known for, is not good. So what do we do here? I mean, what would you do with Gary Patterson?
I might have a long talk about him stepping down.
They built a statue to this man. There's a statue
Gary,
outside of the stadium.
Okay.
I understand.
That's fine. You don't forget what he's done. But when you've been somewhere for 20 years, sometimes it's just time for a change. Okay. Maybe it's time to just hang it up. Maybe the game has passed him by.
Which is crazy to think about. Because
it's not crazy to think about. It happens to everybody.
It was not that long ago that we were talking about Gary Patterson for the LSU job.
Yeah. But that would have been a bad hire now.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. I never would have imagined that we would have gotten to this point with Gary Patterson. And yet, here we are.
All good things end badly, Gary. At some point in time, your beloved Tide, it's going to end badly.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, look at Clemson. It's starting to fall apart, and if they have another season like this, Dabo going to get the Coach O treatment, and it's going to end badly. That's just what none of these things. Everybody sticks around too long.
Yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. West Virginia had 487 total yards to only 393 for TCU.
And I love Gary. You know that.
Yeah. TCU lost the turnover battle 3-0. 3-0. And that will definitely not get you where you want to go. But Neil Brown, 3-0 against Gary Patterson. He doesn't consistently beat anybody else in the Big 12, but he certainly handles TCU anytime he's given the opportunity. So that is crazy to think about. Let's talk about Cincinnati right quick. We don't get many opportunities to really discuss them other than when they're playing big-time teams, and they won over Navy 27-20. Brother, the post-game win expectancy for Cincinnati was 10% based on the stats in the game. I mean, there's something to surviving your clunkers and whatnot. My question, if you're Cincinnati, is can you afford to have clunkers when you are shooting for the playoffs? I think so, maybe. I mean, we know that Navy is a tough place to play, but Navy, didn't have their starting quarterback. Well, I'll take that back. He did play, but he didn't play well. This was a strange game overall. Here's the overall storyline. Navy was a 29-point underdog here, and they won the yardage 308 to 271. They won drive points 14-3. They won rushing 192 to 95. Cincinnati's touchdowns came on 44, 54, and 45-yard drives, so they got short fields. Navy ran 84 plays to only 51. Cincinnati did win third downs at 55% to 33%, and they won yards per play 5.3 to 3.7. But there was nothing in this game that really stood out for Cincinnati. This was a weird game. A weird game because I had this on one of my TVs, and Cincy could never put them away. It was really strange. So they lost time of possession, by the way, 39-20, right? Or 39.5 to 20.5. But is this just a chalk up to it's already been a long season and Navy is a tough team to prep for? What do we make out of this ballgame?
I mean, I don't make anything out of it. They played badly or mediocrely against a team that was prepared and, doing something a little different, and they got away with the win. That's important. You got to keep doing that.
They were up 27-10 at one point.
Yeah.
And I mean, it took an onside kick to get it.
They didn't play a clean game, and that's fine.
Yeah, every now and then you're going to run into this. Like, if there's not a bunch of motivation, I mean, my God, they were more than 4 touchdown favorites in the game. Every now and then you're going to have this. So, yes. Casey said, since he carried Navy, everyone bet Cincy. Vegas wanted to create doubt in the public because Cincy's winning it all this year. Man, I know there's several people that have taken out Cincy like plus 2,500 national title odds, and I would love to see it. It'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be a talking point for generations, but I don't know that we are going to see that. Miami gets a win, 31-30 over NC State, and this was strange. Miami's post-game win expectancy in a 1-point win was 96%. So you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, total yards, 421 to 420. There's nothing that I can take from this other than, like, there were no turnovers, and Miami, for the most part in this game, kind of just looked like the better team, which we have not seen. They didn't make a ton of mistakes. Yep. They didn't kill themselves. I was shocked at this, and I'm a little happy for Manny Diaz because he has been up against it, and they have gone with their youth movement, and they have found a way. Tyler Van Dyke, by the way, 25 out of 33 passing, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns. For whatever reason, like, this is what NC State is known for. They go on the road even against not good teams, and they cannot get it done for whatever reason. You got any thoughts on this one? This was kind of a later ball game.
Well, no, I mean, I enjoyed this game, and I watched a lot of it. And I don't know. I just think the Wolfpack are a really good football team that if they don't bring their best game, somebody else is going to, and you're going to get beat. That's what happened.
NC State.
I lost this one. I had NC State big, and it didn't work.
Yeah, no, we both had them -3.5 on the Pick'em show. Miami they got a little lucky with some fumble luck because they fumbled the ball 3 times and never turned it over. They recovered every one of them. But overall, Miami didn't overly impress defensively. But their offense, man, that Tyler Van Dyke kid is legit. Even if Derek King comes back for another season, I don't know that you move away from this kid. He's awesome. He's awesome. Charleston Rambo, by the way, 9 receptions, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was a dude last night. But there was nothing over on NC State side that led you to believe that they should have won this ball game. So I guess it makes sense that they lost it. Ole Miss and LSU, I only bring this up because I wanted to talk about Lane Kiffin's audition for the LSU head coaching job. Ole Miss's post-game win expectancy, 99% in this one. And I will tell you where the game shifted is when LSU drove it down the field, 14 plays, 72 yards, got down to the 1-yard line, and didn't score.
Yep. And
once that happened, immediately, Ole Miss comes back down the other way and score over and over and over again. There was this is more damning of Florida than anything else because we kind of thought before the Florida game that this is what would happen with the Ole Miss LSU game. Yep. But then you see Florida and you start to think, okay, maybe LSU has found something out running the football and whatnot. Ole Miss does not have a good defense, and they held LSU to 77 yards rushing. Tyrion Davis-Price, 17 carries for 53 yards, 1 touchdown, averaged 3.1 a clip. Snoop Connor on the other side, 14 carries, 117 yards. Ely had 12 carries, 97 yards. They didn't run Matt Corral a ton, 12 carries, 24 yards, 1 touchdown. But Matt Corral is so much fun to watch. What did you take out of this game? I know it's your Tigers. Yeah. This was just kind of par for the course, I felt like.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss is a really good football team, and LSU's not right now, and that's just the truth. So, yeah, I thought Lane did a good job at advertising himself as the LSU next head coach. The reports from guys that I believe that are in the know is that Lane actively is advocating for the job, trying to set himself. He wants the job. He actively has made it clear through his agency that that's a job that if it's offered to him, he's going to take it. And I know that Woodward wants him. I don't know that that's going to end up mattering. Some of his past transgressions and what LSU's going through, they kind of might want to go a different route. And there are some other big fish that might be interested. And if they can get a Mike Tomlin, then you say yes. And you have to give an honest, hard look at Mel Tucker. And I think it's a 3-horse race. I think it's one of those 3. Any other name being thrown out there is just not happening.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I hear a lot of the same stuff that you are. And it was very strange because you kind of know that Lane is openly pushing for that LSU job. And yet you still had Manning in the end zone. I know that they were celebrating Eli Manning, who was an Ole Miss great. But this was also very much a recruiting pitch to Arch Manning.
Arch was there, and that's fine. If you're Lane, you're having these conversations with Arch, and you know that you're hoping that he comes with you and doesn't, necessarily buy into all the Ole Miss stuff. So if you leave, you hope that he follows. And if you're Ole Miss boosters, and you're all the Ole Miss people that put on the thing. Lane didn't put that show on. That was the Ole Miss athletic department. You're hoping that Arch sees that and wants to come there, no matter who their coach is.
Ole Miss's football schedule for the rest of this season, they have gotten through LSU. Now they play at Auburn, Halloween weekend. They play Liberty the week after that. They play Texas A&M after that. They've got Vanderbilt on the 20th, and then at Mississippi State on Thanksgiving. And I cannot wait for some of these ball games. The Auburn game, the A&M game. I mean, the Liberty game is going to be fun anyway, but I don't know that Liberty has enough to be able to compete with these guys.
Yeah, I don't either. We've seen Liberty be disappointing this year. I do think that'll be Hugh's best game, but I don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. I will say that this schedule sets up for a lot of very interesting ball games down the stretch for the Rebels. As far as LSU goes, like I thought maybe they might come out fired up for Coach O, but I think maybe the Florida game was the one where they like everybody already knew, so they came out fired up for that one, and they had some things, but this one. Well,
at some point in time, it's not about fired up. It's about what can you physically do. And that offensive scheme, guys were open that are going to be open. There's no defense for it. Okay.
Yeah.
And going up against a guy like Corral, there's no stopping that guy. He's just better than everybody on the other side of the field. He's the best player on the field the whole day. And he's really hard to stop. So a team that's got some issues and problems anyway, and isn't well coached right now, like that, that's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop that.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with you. Brown Yeti, Seth, Casey, and Ball Python Love. I'm going to answer these questions here in just a minute. Chris and I will talk about them, but let's get through this last game that I've got written down here. BYU 21, Washington State 19. This was a hell of a ball game. Game. And
a lot closer than I thought.
This was a team in Washington State that was fired up because of everything that had happened to them. I believe there was extra motivation for them to try and get this win. BYU, I think, was just the overall better team. Looking at the overall stats here, and this will tell the storyline of the game, and that is BYU, who was a 4-point favorite at kick, only won 21-19. They won yardage 385 to 350. They ran the ball ridiculously well on Washington State. 238 to 93 was the rushing yard difference there. They won turnovers 1-0. All the points came on drives of 60-plus yards. There were no gimmies in this game, and that was awesome. Washington State won yards per play 5.8 to 5.6. They won third downs 64% to 62%. BYU had a fourth down failure. They missed a 45-yard field goal. Each team had 3 touchdowns, and Wazoo was 0 out of 2 on 2-point tries. This was very encouraging if you are a Washington State fan going forward this season. I don't think that there is anything that crazy that would keep them from winning, 8 ball games this year. Like there's a way that they could certainly not win 8. There's a way that they could not win 6. But I tend to believe that this program, the foundation has been built for them to be pretty good. Not just I think it started with Leach, but I think that the program itself has been built up in such a way that whoever comes in is going to be able to have success fairly quickly. I mean, it was kind of the same with Nick Rolovich, right? Normally it takes a long time at Washington State to shift to whatever your philosophy is. And in this situation, I kind of lean that Washington State has built up their football prowess quite a bit. And even in a loss to BYU, I think it was certainly commendable the way that they played. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree with that. It is commendable. I don't know that it's sustainable.
So part of me thought that, and then part of me was leaning the way that I just talked. And I think, I mean, you have obviously it all is based on making the right hire. I think Rolovich was the right hire, regardless of all this other political crap that is going on. Rolo's a good football coach, and if you continue to hire good football coaches, like you've already got a foundation built there that they're going to be pretty good. Looking at Washington State's schedule coming up, they are sitting at 4-4 on the season right now, but they've got at Arizona State and at Oregon in the next 2. They've got at Washington, and they got Arizona. I could see them winning any of those games, like any of them. I could also see them losing any of them except for Arizona, right? So, I mean, you get me. Maybe when I said 8 wins, that might be a little much because I thought this team was at 4-2. I just overlooked it. I could still see them getting to 7. They could beat one of Arizona State or Oregon, even on the road. They could certainly beat Arizona or Washington. Like I think this is a pretty good football team. So
I don't.
Maybe it was just a 1-game sample size that they were right in the ball game with BYU. But either way, we shall see. Let's jump into some of these comments here. Seth Garcia wanted to know, can UTSA run the table? Yes.
Yes.
This is a damn good football team.
I think they'll be favored in all the rest of their games.
I think so as well. I mean, this is a really, really good football team. Weird things happen in Ruston, Louisiana on Saturday nights, and that did not stop them at all. Seth jumped in and said, Oklahoma does not go undefeated. Yeah, we both agree with that. Let's see. Casey said, I don't see anybody beating UTSA. Ball Python Love said, is Carson Strong worth being drafted? Will his injury from high school is it going to affect his chances to really get to play at the next level? I don't think that's going to affect anything. I think Carson Strong is a hell of a quarterback. There's a lot of potential there. He's got the size, all that. I think Carson Strong will be drafted very highly. I don't think he's going to be the first quarterback off the board, like some people are guessing, but Carson Strong's good, man. Like, Nevada's a good football team, and it's because of him.
I agree with that.
Casey said Carson Strong, definitely a good quarterback. He threw that game yesterday. He was working for Vegas. Casey, you make my life enjoyable, my friend. Frank jumped in. Frank Acosella. Ohio State's going to beat Penn State next week. I don't know how much of a hot take that is, but I probably tend to agree with you. Ball Python Love said, I'm a Nevada Wolfpack fan. I live in Reno. That's my team. Casey said, Romeo Doubs is the best wide receiver in NCAA football, and it ain't close. David Bell's number 2. I don't know about all that, but I do think he's good. I mean, for sure. I mean, it's somebody for Carson Strong to throw to. So BYU let Washington State hang around. They could have covered it easy. Brown Yeti said, hang on, Leach's philosophy is do whatever you are doing a lot until you're great at it, and then do it some more. Yeah, I mean, it's a foundational thing. Like, do the things that you're good at. Like, I think any good coach should do that. So, who knows? Damian finally jumped in, said, what's up? Who would you want to see UTSA play in a bowl game? I would like to see him in a New Year's Six game. I don't think it's going to happen. But I would like to see him play against somebody that's a bigger program. So, how much fun would it be to see them play against one of these big teams in Texas? Like, put UTSA up against the Longhorns. Let's see what happens there.
Let's say Oklahoma, or let's say Oklahoma has 2 losses when the season's over with. Put them up against them. I want to see them play one of these Big 12 teams that's normally really good and really high.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. Seth said, is the Clemson dynasty over? I think it's a little early to say that because you bring in a good offensive coordinator and that thing is back to rolling. It's not like the defense is bad. The defense is actually, maybe top 5 in the country. They are really good on defense.
They had 2 transcendent quarterbacks back-to-back that spanned 7 years of football, and that is why the last 7 years they've been unbelievable.
Yes. Deshaun Watson.
They need another transcendent quarterback, or, yes, it's over.
Casey said Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral are number 1, number 2 in the NFL draft. Carson Strong might be number 3. Yeah, I could see that happening that way. I could certainly see that happening that way. Some of the some of the games that I wanted to bring up that I didn't figure we needed to have full segments on. Notre Dame beat USC 31-16. USC's clock management was laughable, and they made mistake after mistake after mistake. Their coach, by the way, said at the end of in the post-game press conference that he didn't feel like they lost the game. They just ran out of time. There was no amount of time that you could put on that clock that Notre Dame would not have won the ball game. Like, that was ridiculous to say. I mean, just unreal. Notre Dame, by the way, that's the best the offense has looked all season. You kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I thought Notre Dame looked really good. I told you, they had a week off to get better at football, and they got better at football.
Yes, they did. Alabama 52, Tennessee 24, and this was rife with mistakes all over the place. Alabama held Tennessee to only 61 yards rushing, and they give up they normally average 250. So that was good, but this Alabama team is not a great football team. They're just not. Like, anybody that expects them to be able to compete with Georgia, I don't see it. I have no idea. Like, not a good football team. Northern Illinois.
Oh,
go ahead.
You want to talk about the false start that wasn't a false start?
For Tennessee?
Yep.
We could talk about that. We could talk about the Bryce Young fumble into the end zone that nobody clearly recovered, that they gave Alabama the touchdown on anyway.
Yep. We're going to talk about the targeting that they didn't call either.
Yeah, I mean that.
Okay, yeah.
But
I'm just saying, but all of those bad calls, Alabama gets calls all the time. You have 11 men lined up to snap a football. Alabama's fans are going crazy. Everybody is set for Tennessee. The ball is still. Every player is still. Alabama's defense points, and they throw a flag, and they say false start. And I watched that replay 20 times.
Yeah, I never saw him move.
Nobody moved.
I never saw him move. So
nobody moved. Like, not calling the targeting, we're used to that. Not giving the other team the fumble, whatever, we're used to that. We're accustomed to Bama getting calls. Making shit up out of the air, this is why people throw golf balls. This is why people are – I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's okay, but this is why people throw shit on the field. Okay?
Yes. Because
the officiating is bad, and it's always bad to the teams that need to be protected. Yes. Okay? These teams, all of these conferences have the haves and the have-nots. And if you are a have that year, you get protection. And if you're not, then you don't.
The fact that Alabama covered this line, what was it at kick? 24.5, 25, somewhere around there? Yeah. It opened at 27.5. The fact that Alabama covered was the most absurd thing that I have ever seen. They scored 28 fourth-quarter points and found a way to cover. And they never should have. They were down 14-7 at the end of the first quarter, gave up 150 yards in that first quarter. And Nick Saban was the maddest that I have ever seen him ever. And I have watched, 14, 15 years of this guy at Alabama. I've never seen him so irritated. They had a 4th and 28 and it had all the momentum in the world and ran into roughed the kicker. Like, it tried to go after the punt when you would have had a short field anyway. Ran into the kicker, got a 15-yard personal foul, gave Tennessee the ball back, and Tennessee immediately hits, a long touchdown pass that gives them the 14-7 lead. That's the maddest of it. And on top of that, there was no sense of urgency from Alabama the entire ballgame. And then Tennessee finally ran out of gas at the end of the game. But this was a 31-24 game with 12 minutes left.
It's just got to be so disheartening for the other team to just know that no matter how well I play, you're just not going to let me win. You're just not going to let me have anything no matter what we do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's a frustrating thing. That's an angering thing, and I totally understand the vitriol. I just do. I'm not saying it's right, but I was 19 once before. And if I felt like I was getting screwed and I had no hope, lock me up. Throw me in the drunk tank for a couple of nights. I don't care. I don't care anymore because I feel like this thing that I love is being ripped from me, and this thing that I hate is getting everything they need. They're good enough already to beat them with all of the best players and all of the best coaches. Is hard enough as it is, but when they get everything also, and most of the shit is totally made up, I don't know what you're supposed to do. So as a fan, when you feel hopeless, you just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. Casey said live betting was why Bama was so close until the end. People stopped falling for the traps. Live betting wasn't created to help you; it was created to trick you. I would say that, except that on Thursday night I had the Louisiana Arkansas State game, and that total was 70 before kick. And after the scoreless first quarter, it dropped down to 45, and I immediately hit the over, and it covered by the end of the third quarter. So. Let's see. As a Tennessee fan, this year feels like 2006, said the Flying Hawaiian. Seth Garcia said Texas, Oklahoma want to play with the big boys, but they'll be shocked when they join the SEC. These are grown men. Casey was talking about the penalties and whatnot. He said Nevada had like 10 penalties on every drive yesterday. Fresno had none. Shake my head. Yeah. I mean, it happens in every game. This is not just an SEC thing, although the SEC stuff is so highlighted, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's
highlighted when you're in a game, when one team is seen as so dominant, but they get everything that goes their way. That Florida game, if any of those calls go 50-50 for Florida wins that game, and Bama's a 2-loss team. But then that deteriorates the value of the SEC, and so we don't want that.
True.
We can't have that. If Tennessee pulls up an upset when they're a 24-point dog at Tuscaloosa, that would destroy the value of the SEC, and we can't have that.
True. Moving over to the MAC conference USA, Central Michigan lost to Northern Illinois 39-38. Northern Illinois is now a 6-win team, brother. 6-2.
The MAC is drunk as hell, and you can't figure anything out.
Did you see the field goal snap at the end of the game? So a potential game-winning field goal try for Central Michigan, and the ball went through the holder's hands. Like not a couldn't grab it and it just like bounced in front of him or anything like that, or he couldn't handle it. It went through his hands. Like I've never seen that before, where it went through and just skirted on past. Like it was the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And Northern Illinois continues to capitalize off other teams' mistakes. I spoke very ill of Thomas Hammond, who is the coach for Northern Illinois, because there was no sign of this whatsoever. And they went into the transfer market and they got Rocky Lombardi and they got some other guys, and they look good, man. Like they can run the football. It makes no sense to me. Like you said, the MAC is drunk as hell. Minnesota 34, Maryland 16. Minnesota, don't look now. Minnesota's 5-2, even with the loss to Bowling Green. Like, what is going on, PJ Fleck? Like now,
this is a fun football team. This is a good football team.
And without their two best running backs, both of them out for the year. Like,
yep.
Good gracious. Maryland 0-3 in October now after going 4-0, so that's par for the course for the Terps. I don't know what to make of Maryland. I don't know what to make of Minnesota. Minnesota's schedule is backloaded, so they're going to have some trouble coming forward. But this is going to be a bowl team. Utah State got a win on Friday night against Colorado State, and this is another one of those clock management, all that kind of stuff with Steve Adazio. Like, what are we doing here? And Utah State now, well over their win total. What Blake Anderson is doing there is incredible. 26-24 was the win there. I brought up Louisiana 28-27 over Arkansas State. Louisiana looks great against App State, and then they go on the road against a hapless team with no defense and just barely win. And it happens time and time again. Same thing. They went to South Alabama and only won by 2 points. Like, Louisiana, I stress consistency every week, and nobody is consistent other than Georgia. We know what to expect from Georgia. Rice beat UAB on Children's Cancer Night in Birmingham. Like, UAB never loses that game, and they lost 30-24.
UAB is not the team that I want them to be at all.
No, they are not.
Rice is not a good football team. And to lose straight up.
Yes.
That was a monster number. What was that number? What did that number close at?
23.5.
It was a monster number, and they got beat straight up.
UCF 24, Memphis 7. We brought this game up a little bit earlier when talking about Virginia Tech. If I were Memphis, I would take Fuente back in a heartbeat.
Call him now. Call him right now. Listen, don't let them break up with you. You break up with them, Fuente.
Yes. If you're Memphis, call your boy back. He knows how to win here. He knows how to win. New Mexico 14, Wyoming 3 is the last one that I wanted to mention, because Wyoming was a 20-point favorite in this game and got dominated.
You keep telling me all year Wyoming is a really good football team, and I just never seen it. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that I can say about Wyoming that would make me feel any better about this situation. There's no reasonable explanation for the way that Wyoming is playing. Craig Bowl has always been a good coach. When he has an experienced team, he has always done well. I picked them to win the Mountain West, and that is not going to happen. That was a mistake.
That is absolutely not going to happen.
I think I picked San Jose to do real well again this year.
Did.
So that did. I'm about to say,
but there's an excuse there at least, because Nick Starkel hadn't been playing. Without your starting quarterback, your 6th-year quarterback. I mean,
San Diego State's the best team in that conference. All right, it doesn't matter. I think if Starkel is playing and they play San Diego State, I think the defense puts him in a corner.
I can't wait.
I think they're really good.
Hold on. We
got Fresno this week.
That's what I was going to say.
Fresno. That's a game, baby.
But it's not just that. San Diego State's scheduled for the rest of the season. They got Fresno State in San Diego next week. Then they go to Hawaii the week after that, and then they come back home to play against Nevada, and then so they go and play UNLV the week after that. But then they host Boise at the end of the season. So they got Boise, they got Nevada, they got Fresno State, along with a trip to Honolulu in there. That's going to be awesome. Frank said, what games are you looking forward to next week?
A lot.
Yeah.
The Michigan State game, big. Ohio State, Penn State, awesome. We got the cocktail party. We got a big slate this
Ole Miss, Auburn.
Ole Miss, Auburn. I think Texas Baylor is going to be amazing. We're going to have a wild weekend this weekend. Notre Dame Got UNC playing better. UNC
you playing better for now. I mean, who knows what to make out of that team?
Then, hell, Fresno State, San Diego State, baby. That's going to be an awesome football game.
Yes. Week 9. I mean, we've got all kind of stuff coming up. You got Troy and Coastal on Thursday night.
That's Thursday.
You got let's see, Cincy Tulane. I don't expect much out of that. No. Iowa Wisconsin is this week.
Yeah, I think Iowa gets back to normal, and I think Wisconsin falls back to the Wisconsin they are. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I was about to say we think that, but you never know with these teams. Miami goes to Pittsburgh.
Iowa's defense is not going to let Wisconsin run the football like that. They're going to have to put the ball in Graham Merck's hands, and that's when Iowa's going to take over the game. That's the problem. At some point in time, to beat Iowa, Graham's going to have to do something special. Do you think he's going to do something special, or do you think he's going to cock it up?
I think I expect him to cock it up.
Okay, that's the problem. Now, I don't know what the number is going to be yet, so that's irrelevant to the conversation of can they cover or not. But I expect Iowa to win that football game even on the road.
Seth said, is the AAC the best group of 5 conference?
Mountain West probably isn't. I love the AAC. I love it. If
you just go with like top heavy, I mean, Cincy and SMU,
yes, Cincinnati is the best team. It's not close, and Cincinnati is SMU is real good as well. But after those two, man, there's a massive gap.
Yes.
I mean, a gigantic gap. I think from top to bottom consistently, Mountain West pretty tough.
Miami going to Pittsburgh this week could be interesting if they continue to play the way that they do.
Last night, something special was happening in Miami. That ain't the new Miami. Pittsburgh's going to beat the hell out of them. I don't think this game's going to be fun.
Iowa State, West Virginia, Washington State, Arizona State. A lot of very interesting stuff. Texas Tech going to Oklahoma. Purdue plays at Nebraska this week. Like there's some games that could end up being pretty entertaining. Florida State plays at Clemson this week. Don't short sell that one. Boston College at Syracuse. That's 2 pretty good teams. I mean, you never know. Like UL Monroe is going to App State. Like who knows what to expect from Louisiana Monroe at this point? They won 4 games this year. I don't know what to make of that team at all. SMU and Houston, like that's going to be
game. I'm going to tell you this: Holgo's been pretty good.
Yes, he has. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of fun ones. Virginia plays at BYU, by the way, late night on ESPN2 next week. So I'm pumped. It's going to be a good week. So is there anything else that you are wanting to jump on?
No.
I don't think so either. All right, let's go ahead and tell everybody. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Like the video for us if you have not already. There's still a lot of you watching, so do us that favor before you head out of here. And make sure, subscribe to the podcast. Leave a nice 5-star review. That certainly helps us out. Brown Yeti said, Casey, do you have me blocked on YouTube? I hadn't been able to see your comment the past couple of streams. Is Casey blocking people from our chat? Come on, Casey. All right, on top of that, let's see. BetUS College Football Show. There's a link in the description. I do that on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Chris does the SBR College Football Show, and that's on.
Right now, SBR has lost something happened with them in YouTube. They are not allowed on YouTube, so it's only being streamed on the Twitter.
Only on Twitter. Okay, so it's on Periscope.
Right now.
No, it's not Periscope. I guess it's Twitter now.
Twitter. It's on Twitter.
Interesting. Okay, so it's on Twitter. There you go. So what's the Twitter account? At
SBR Sports.
Or SBR Picks, right? I think that's
SBR Picks. Yeah, that's right. Not
so,
Sports. Picks.
At SBR Picks. Interesting. All right, so yeah, go and check that out. Damien's
I'll tell them when they share it out to make sure they tag me in it because they didn't Saturday morning.
There you go. Damien said, "Damn, y'all are vicious." Yeah, we can be. And Flying Hawaiian said, "Thanks, guys, for the great show." Well, there you go. The show brought to you every week or every time out by BetUS, where the game begins. America's premier top sports book. Go check it out, BetUS.com. Use the promo code NCAAF 2021. You get a 125% deposit bonus up to $2,500, and it is sportsbook exclusive. Again, fantastic deal. Click the link in the description. It's going to toss the promo code in there for you. You don't even have to remember what I just told you. So go ahead and click that link and do us that favor. Again, subscribe, like, share the show out, tell your friends about it, jump in the comments. We always like to have a little discussion afterwards, and you can always hit us up on Twitter as well. You see it on the screen. It's also a link in the podcast description and the YouTube description. So check it out. You guys are awesome. Chris, this has been a lot of fun. This is my favorite hour and a half of every week. So with that said, you guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully all of you tickets cash for NFL Sunday.
Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review,